All right, moving on. Oh, okay. This is an AI video. Next, this is just another distraction. Why you need to delete Twitter or the so-called X with what is it? Sam Neill, Sam Harris. I think it's Sam Neill. Sam Harris, of course. This is about 6 months ago. So haven't watched this yet. Thought it'd be interesting to watch.
Almost all of the truly bad things that have happened to me in the last decade that just really just destabilized relationships and just priorities and really kind of got plowed back into me. It became a kind of professional emergency, stuff I had to respond to, in writing or on podcasts. It was all Twitter. Right? It was my engagement with Twitter was the thing that produced the chaos, and it was completely unnecessary. And it was amplifying a kind of signal for me that I felt compelled to pay attention to because I was on it and I was trying to communicate with people on it. I was getting certain communication back, and it was giving me a picture of the rest of humanity, which I now think is fundamentally misleading.
It's not a picture of the rest of humanity. It's the picture of the worst of humanity, I think. Twitter is just so bad, and I think it's just you go into the comments and it's just comment, 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 and then it gets to the point where it's just like there's going to be some comment that's just so inappropriate in there. You're like, pretty much every tweet that you see, there's going to be an inappropriate post in there at some point, and then it's just going to get the ball rolling, and then there's going to be more and more. And people just work off those inappropriate tweets and just try to come up with more inappropriate tweets. It's such a bad place. Such a bad place.
But it was still consequential in its even believing that it was at a certain point, believing that it was misleading wasn't enough to inoculate me against the delusion of the kind of the opinion change that was being forced upon me. And I was feeling like, okay, like these people are becoming unrecognizable. I know some of these people. I've had dinner with some of these people, and their behavior on Twitter is appearing so deranged to me, so in such bad faith.
That's interesting.
That people are people who I know to be non-psychopaths are starting to behave like psychopaths, at least on Twitter, and I'm becoming similarly unrecognizable to them. That it's just, again,
that's an interesting take, and that's an interesting perspective and insight that people that most people on Twitter don't know the people that they're following or that are following them on Twitter. Most people, but if you're following, if you're friends with people in the real world that you're following on Twitter, or they're following you, and then their behavior is different in that Twitter realm, that's very interesting. It's like a different persona because of the application, or because they're on the platform that they're on, and maybe it's the way that everyone else behaves on there that encourages them to behave a certain way, or maybe even their true colors to come out instead of putting on a front in the real world. Yeah, that's interesting.
It all felt like a psychological experiment to which I hadn't consented, in which I enrolled myself somehow because it was what everyone was doing in 2009.
2009.
I mean, it's embarrassing to admit it. I mean, it's like getting out of a bad relationship. I mean, it was a fundamental.
So this is a long time ago.
Just freedom from this chaos monster that was always there, ready to disrupt something based on its own dynamics. And
when did you delete it?
Yeah, like December. I think it was December.
I would, and I'm not someone that really takes sides on things. I like to try and remain in the middle. I think politically,
yeah, so you must have a very different Twitter experience than I was having. No?
So everyone's Twitter experience is the same.
This podcast trailer, don't do anything else.
Right. Okay.
So the only thing you'll see on my Twitter is the podcast trailer That's it.
Yeah.
And for all the reasons you've described. And more interestingly, I wanted to say in the last 8 months, as someone that doesn't get caught up too much in the media, oh, Elon bought this, it's 100% gone in that direction. As in, my timeline now is, I say it to my friends all the time, and some of my friends who, again, I think are nuanced and balanced, have said to me, there's something that's been turned up in the algorithm to increase engagement that has planted me in an unpleasant echo chamber that I didn't desire to be in. And if I wasn't somewhat conscious, I would 100% be in there. My timeline, my friend tweeted the other day, my friend Kachel tweeted, he's never seen more people die on his Twitter timeline than he has in the last 6 months. They're prioritizing videos, so you're seeing a lot of like death in CCTV footage that I've never seen before. And then the debate around gender, politics, right-leaning subject matter has never been more right down your throat.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like something in the algorithm has been switched, where it's now like people have been let out the asylum.
That's what I find a lot of these social media platforms have just become now. They're just a platform for political landscapes, political views, especially American political views. It's just gone out of control. It's like the world revolves around one political ideology or the other, and there's just no middle. There's no middle ground. It's way too political. It's just crap. And now Twitter is probably one of very few that's probably right-leaning, but then you've got a lot more that are left-leaning. It's just like, who cares about the political landscape? It's just social media, and they're just doing it, especially left-leaning, for advertisements so they can gain as many as possible.
That's the only way I can describe it. And it's made me retract even more. So when Zuckerberg announced Threads the other couple of weeks ago, it was kind of like a
Threads failed.
Right.
Out of the Titanic.
Nah.
And I really, really mean that. And I'm not someone to get easily caught up in narrative, as it relates to social media platforms. It's been my industry for a decade. But what I've seen on Twitter, and it's actually made me believe this hypothesis I had 5 years ago, where I thought there would be, I thought the journey of social networking would have way more social networks and they'd be more siloed. I thought we'd have one for our neighborhood, our football club, and now I believe that even more than ever.
Yeah, that seems right. And I think it's whether it's possible to have a truly healthy social network that people want to be in, and they have good reason to be there, and it's I don't know if that's possible. I like to think it is, but it's I think there's certain things you have to clean up at the outset that so as to make.
Yeah, people love chaos. Social media just is a magnet for chaos, and it's just shit. Anyway, moving on.